Hello, my name is Matt Baker, and I am doing my presentation on elicitation. Elicitation, what is it? It's simply having a conversation with the target. You want it to be smooth, non-threatening. You want the target to feel at ease. The more comfortable somebody is, the more information you're going to get out of them. So when you elicitate, you want to ask the target questions. What questions do you want to ask? That's what we'll get into later on. You want the target to answer the questions exactly how you want, with the information that you want. It's very similar to information gathering, and it also can strengthen your pretext. And one of the other keys of elicitation is it gets the target to interact with you. And how do you master elicitation? How do you master conversation? Be natural, be confident. These will build rapport. Rapport is like the holy grail of social engineering. Do your research on your target. Know about them. Don't pretend to know information, because we're going to do our research and we're not going to worry about that. So never pretend to know information. That is a very big turnoff. What the research you have must be believable, correct. So you really, once you're down that path of information, if you do pretend, you need to make sure you stick with it. And remember, knowledge is power. Also, don't be greedy. Let it be give and take. Let them talk. This will lead to reciprocation, which we'll talk about later. Listen if they want to talk. If they want to talk, just let them talk. But be engaged in the conversation. So one part of elicitation is preloading questions. So what is preloading? Preloading is, so pre is before, load is fill. So you want to fill their conscious with information before we want them to answer our questions. You give them subtle hints to lead you down the path. You don't want to be obvious, because people can easily tell if you're leading them. So just nice and short and simple, and you just kind of want to hint things in there. One thing with preloading is you want to work backwards. Start with the goal you want. Determine the questions that you want from the information that you want. You determine the questions you're going to ask. Then you determine what information you're going to preload that target with. If I want to get information about their network topology, you're going to preload them with networking terminology. It also works best when you hit every sense. When in the book, the gentleman wanted to eat steak, so he talked about seeing his neighbor on the grill, smelling the grill, hearing the steak sizzle. All these things preload the senses, and unconsciously we don't know this, but it just leads people right down the path of what we want. Appeal to people's egos. Egotistical people, they like to be complimented. Why not? Everybody likes to be complimented. But don't overdo it. If you overdo it, you can turn them off, which is very key. That's one thing with elicitation. Never do too much, don't do too little. It's right in the middle, which is why practicing is key. When you appeal to egos, do it gracefully. Be flattering. Make sure, just hit the point of their ego and just let it go from there. It will allow them to open up. When you it might give a little smile or a chuckle, and that could be your door. Express interest. You want to express mutual interest in what they're talking about. If you're talking to somebody and you are mutually interested in them, they will continue to talk. If you go to a convention and you're interested in what somebody's saying, you see them later, still interested, this can be a long-term thing that can go over the course of a long period of time. And it is one of the best ways to build rapport. Another thing you can do is throw false statements at them. It can be powerful. And then what you do is you make a false claim, saying that when you're doing this, you have to have this in effect. Well, that's not true. So what it does is it has the target answer you with the correct facts. And it tells you, do they have the correct facts? It also makes the target feel knowledgeable about what it is. And when people feel knowledgeable, it makes them feel good. And you can continue to have conversation with them. Another thing you can do is volunteer information. Give the target information. Give them this is the give and take part of elicitation. I give you a little, you give me a little back. It's like you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. It's very good. It works. It also helps set the tone of the conversation. People feel obligated to return favors. And that is the key with reciprocation, which is a huge way to get people to trust you. Assume the person has knowledge. Use your knowledge of something that you know they know something about, and this is where it's big to do your research. So you know who your target knows information about this, so you use your knowledge of the subject to build your conversation around it to pick out little pieces of information as a result. Another thing, alcohol. Alcohol equals instant success. People will always talk when they drink. And they will talk about things they shouldn't when they drink. So, meeting somebody at a bar is a great idea. There are the types of questions you can ask when you're elicitating. There are open and closed-end questions. And there are assumptive and leading questions. Open-end. You cannot answer a open-end with yes or no. You ask them, so what are the qualifications for this? They have to answer it with information. Why does this do that? How does this do that? Pyramid approach is big with open-end. You start narrow and then broaden the information you're going to get, like a pyramid, top to bottom. Closed-ended is the exact opposite of open-ended, which makes sense. Detailed information is not the goal. You want to lead your target down a path. The example they had was a lawyer. Were you here at this time? Do you know this person? Where were you at this time? Yes, no questions that lead them down the path to the answer you want. The leading questions. It uses both open and closed. You give them leads to the answer. You state facts and give the target a chance to agree or disagree. You slowly lead them into the answer you want with your knowledge. Assumptive. You assume the target knows information. So we can assume they know this. We can talk about this. It also is a very good way of knowing if the target does know information, because they won't have the answer that we're looking for. It won't give you the entire picture, but it can get you information of whether somebody knows something. But also, don't accuse a target of being wrong if they answer a question that's not correct, because it will alienate them, and your door is closed. And that is my presentation on elicitation. So remember, one of the keys is to practice, practice, practice. Do your research, get knowledge, and if you're not comfortable talking around people, just start videotaping yourself with a conversation with a family member and pay attention to the little cues. And body language, they're both huge. So, thank you and have a good day.